Hi, my name is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am honored to be speaking with an acclaimed guitarist and music producer, and also an advocate for Ataxia. His name, Ian BOURAS. For more on Ian BOURAS and Ataxia, you can read more about him and Ataxia right below this video. But in the meantime, here's a sneak peek at the incredible talent of the incredible human, Ian BOURAS. Well, hello, Ian. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I'm so excited that the audience just got a little sneak peek at your incredible talent, Ian. But you know what, Ian, I want to start from the beginning. Where did you grow up and when did you realize that you, I don't know, had this talent for music?
I grew up in Manhattan and I always had a love of music. It's not in the family, so to speak. But for some reason, I picked up guitar probably about the time Guns N' Roses came out with Sweet Child of Mine, strangely enough. And a friend of mine got a guitar, and I went home and said, "This is what he has. I want the same thing." And I never really did learn to play Sweet Child of Mine 100%, but I did wind up continuing with guitar.
I love that, Ian. Where in Manhattan did you grow up?
I grew up in the East 90s,
Oh, beautiful.
and yeah, it is now, yeah.
And where are you
I
at?
don't,
Where do you live now?
I'm sort of between places. I spend part-time in Manhattan on the West 70s, and part of my time in upstate New York around Utica.
That's beautiful, Ian. Now, listen, you are such an amazing artist. And for more on Ian, obviously, our audience can read more about you and go to the links below to find more of your amazing work as both a guitarist and a music producer. But I also, in addition to what you do musically, Ian, you are an incredibly inspiring human being of the planet because of the advocacy work, but and also how open you are about you and ataxia. Can you go into that, Ian?
Sure, and I appreciate the opportunity to spread the awareness about it because it's very not well known.
It isn't. Ian, you know, I first heard about it through your story, and it made me want to make people more aware of it as well.
Well, what was strange, I'd never heard of Ataxia, and I tried to play something in recording, and I couldn't play it the way I wanted, so I practiced it for a couple weeks and tried to play and still couldn't. I was living in San Diego at the time, and I went to a doctor out there, and he said, "Well, I'm not really sure. It might be ataxia, but I'm not a specialist, so I don't want to say anything." So I moved back to Manhattan. I went to a neurologist in Manhattan who said, "It is ataxia." And I, like many other people, said, "All right, what is ataxia?" And it comes from the Greek word ataxis, which basically means no coordination or a lack of coordination. And I'm incredibly fortunate that I'm so functional. But it really does play havoc with the body, the coordination of the fingers. You'll hear the speech slurring a little bit. But I've found over time that I don't know if I can credit it to music, but my ataxia has progressed slowly. So I don't know if playing guitar has helped train other parts of my brain to compensate for the cerebellum, which is lacking in ataxia. It's the cells in the cerebellum that are slowly dying, and unfortunately, there's no cure for it. It's sometimes referred to as the drunk disease because of the slurring, the balance, the coordination a little bit. You appear drunk, and it's the same part of the brain that gets affected when you drink too much. And the cells in the cerebellum die, and that's what gives you the buzz. So you can come across as being inebriated when you're not.
Well, Ian, I mean, I think I'm no doctor, but I can only imagine that not only your music playing has perhaps, slowed down the growth of the progression rather of ataxia, but I think it's also your positive attitude. You have such a positive vibe about you. It's not only seen through your music, but as people will see in the links below, we can follow your journey with ataxia. You've been very upfront about your journey with it. And when I think about this new platform, FENIX, I'm so excited that millions of people across the country and around the world are not only going to get to witness your amazing musicianship and your artistry, but they're going to get to learn about something that maybe some other people around the world are maybe too afraid to talk about. And as we all know, music and disease are universal, transcendent things. And the fact that you combine both and shed light on it in a positive way is absolutely miraculous and beautiful. And I really commend you for that.
Well, thank you. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. And in the past, what's great is that we've made so many advancements in medicine, and they've now discovered ataxia. In the past, people were diagnosed with Parkinson's, but a large portion of them probably had ataxia. But doctors didn't know that's what they had because it wasn't a thing.
How long ago were you diagnosed, Ian? And for how long has ataxia been a part of the conversation within the medical world?
I don't want to give any incorrect numbers, so I'm not sure how long it's been discussed in medicine. If people want to learn more about it, they can visit Ataxia.org, which is the National Ataxia Foundation. For me, it's been about 8 to 10 years, but when I look back on my youth, there were maybe signs that it was there, but I just attributed it to being a clumsy teenager, as we all do during our growth periods.
Wow. Well, listen, Ian, in moving forward, obviously we all as artists, but as humans have been through very traumatic time just with this pandemic. But obviously you have climbed many a mountain, but you have done it with an unapologetic optimism. I want to know in moving forward after this time, as venues start to open up and as the world hopefully starts to come up to some sort of normalcy, the type of artistry and music that you're looking to put out there as you move forward with your incredible career.
Well, I do continue to write and record. I've released numerous singles and full-length albums. I've started to incorporate, or not started to, I've been doing it for a while, looping into what I do performance-wise. Because of ataxia, it slowed my coordination down. So I loop to make the music more interesting for the listener. so I could layer different things on top of each other so they wouldn't have a monotone thing to listen to. I've also started to recently uh, become more proficient at my photography, which is something that I hope, along with music, really helps people with ataxia understand they can do anything. Because balance, holding a camera still when you're trying to balance upside down, roundabout to get a photo, it's not always wonderful for your balance, but I want people to know they can do it. They can still play music. You can do whatever you want. You just might have to take the road less traveled. That's often a good thing.
Ian, you're incredible. You're an incredible inspiration. I am so grateful that our life paths have crossed. You shed a light on not only ataxia, but what it is to be a human being who wakes up every day, makes a choice to just keep moving forward and to live your best life. And you are showing it through your actions in your artistry in both music, photography, art, and living, that you can indeed accomplish anything you put your mind to. And I wish I could speak with you forever, but I really want the audience again to know that for more on Ian, you can read more about him right below this video. And please follow him on his journey, not only with ataxia, but with his incredible artistry. And Ian, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
In the digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.